I'm for reindustrialization, but boy, it's a tough thing to do. You have to do it carefully.
I think Biden's industrialization strategy was to industrialize more government. I mean, a lot of jobs created in government during Biden.
America brought back a chips industry in 18 months.
And what was the announcement this week? That a chips maker from Taiwan is opening up a massive operation in Arizona.
What's happening, everybody? Scott Jennings recently debated Donald Trump's tariffs with a panel of Mensa members at CNN. Scott Jennings, while contending with a gaggle of emotional people saying, "What if this?" and "What if that?" calmly defended Trump's actions and explained the long-term benefits of his trade strategy. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings do what he does best, make a bunch of CNN hacks look like idiots. Let's go.
I actually don't think he's looking for the long term. I think tariffs need to be used in a really, really surgical way to create space for industry to happen in the U.S., but that requires an industrial strategy. We haven't seen any coherent industrial strategy from this administration yet. Now, you know, like him or not, Biden had an industrial strategy. It's not just about tariffs. You've got to convince business, okay, what's the competitive strategy here? How are we going to train workers? How are we going to work with allies? You have to build capacity. Is Europe going to want to be in supply chain alliances with us? Maybe not, because, you know, we're talking about slapping tariffs on Europe too. I just don't buy it over the long haul. I'm for reindustrialization, but boy, it's a tough thing to do. You have to do it carefully.
I think Biden's industrialization strategy was to industrialize more government. I mean, a lot of jobs created in government during Biden.
America brought back a chips industry in 18 months.
And what was the announcement this week? That a chips maker from Taiwan is opening up a massive operation in Arizona. What was the auto industry announcement this week? That Honda is putting a plant in Indiana. $1.7 trillion already in announcements from this administration on investing in the U.S. economy. I agree with you, what you said earlier, reindustrializing, juicing American manufacturing. It is a worthy goal, and that is the mission of the tariff plan. He strongly believes in tariffs, and if they're slapped on over a long period of time, we'll see if he's right.
I guess
but the governor,
it's one tool.
The governor is exactly right about it.
You guys are defending a tariff strategy that's actually not being put in place.
It's not a strategy.
The tariff strategy that you're describing is Trump saying, I believe in tariffs, carte blanche, let's just put them on there. But what he's actually doing is saying tariffs one day, no tariffs the next day. Tariffs one day, no tariffs the next day. If he really believed in what you were saying, he would just stick with his strategy, and he's not doing it.
He's trying to find the sweet spot with countries and industries. And he said today there'll be no more extensions past April.
I just have to say,
I'm not even seeing that happening. I mean, he didn't say, okay, we're going to take tariffs off China and Mexico for these specific things. He said, we're going to just do another month.
Yeah, it's a haphazard approach. I want to say that I think there's a lot of things at this table that people agree with. I don't want fentanyl in this country. I want it to be stopped. I don't take it lightly if one person dies from it or another person dies from it if it comes out from the country. But I also think that when you are applying and you're looking at the totality of circumstances, you can't just swing a pendulum back and forth with the American economy.
I can see why Trump's trade strategy could be confusing to the average American, and especially liberals, Democrats. I mean, over the last 4 years, all anyone's ever known is our leadership just denying that the economy is doing shitty, telling you on paper it's doing better every once in a while, and then just kind of pray, keep your fingers crossed that it all works itself out. Do you ever remember hearing about a plan from the prior administration over the last 4 years to address the economy? I do remember a lot of spending and a lot of government jobs created. I'll get back to the video because Scott starts spitting here in a little bit, but one of them said tariffs one day, no tariffs the next. And he doesn't have a strategy around that. Donald Trump can be very serious about tariffs and also use them as a negotiation tool. When Mexico, Canada, even China, when they capitulate to some of the requests the Trump administration is asking for, that's in the best interest of our country, he can pull them all together if he wants to. Donald Trump's thinking long term. You're just looking at what might happen right now that I can complain about. He's been there for a month and a half. Give it a moment. I'll let Scott take it from here.
I understand you all are saying it's a strategy, but what it feels like, and we talked a lot about feelings before November 5th, that the people felt like the economy wasn't good, even though the numbers said it was good. What we're saying is that people are feeling like the economy still isn't good, and the numbers are not good because the Dow is going down, because you slap a tariff on in 1 hour and 18 hours it's later. That feels unstable. It doesn't feel like a strategy. I hear you. You all think there's something there, but I think in short order, the American people are going to say, and to just callously say, people are going to lose their jobs. I didn't ever hear that before November 5th. People are going to lose their jobs. Americans, are you okay with losing your jobs? You be the judge.
Bill Clinton said it really loud in the early 90s when he said we're going to get rid of 13% of the workforce.
I was 8 years old, so I can't really say much
that's
about
a reality.
that. But I'm talking about now that I'm an adult.
Let me just play what Republicans in Congress are hearing from their districts and what they're saying about all of this.
Almost every industry in Kentucky has come to me and said it will hurt our industry and push up prices of homes, cars, and so I'm going to continue to argue against tariffs.
Should he back off of it if it starts to hurt the constituents?
When we start losing, you back off. You know, there's such a thing as a strategic retreat. At the end of the day, I think we have more leverage than any other nation, but we got to be smart, and we don't have all the leverage.
Maybe Tom Tillis is right. This was a retreat. I mean, he backed off. He absolutely backed off.
There is no question that inside the Republican Party, there is some resistance to this. I mean, that's just a fact. And there are issues, particularly on trade issues, where Trump is not an orthodox conservative. He didn't run on it. He has been very open about it. Some of the party supports him, some don't. In my home state of Kentucky, both Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, not often aligned on issues, are both against it. You hear this from some corners of the party, but Donald Trump believes in this. And I suspect there is going to be some tariff strategy over the entire first term. And
But Scott, I hear what you're saying Trump believes in, but do you think it's a good idea?
Right. Yeah, that's my question.
I trust the president to deal with Canada and Mexico.
Okay, but do you
on
think
the
it's a
issues
good
that he
idea
thinks
to
are important?
slap 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and then take them off and then put them back on and take them off?
And what happens in a year? What happens in a year? I'm curious
Everybody yell at me, then I'll
I'm
answer.
not yelling at you. Cut it out. Don't do that to me.
Everybody
Don't
go,
do
and
it.
then I'll answer one at a
Don't do
time.
it, Scott. Don't do it.
I'm gonna let Ashley handle
Don't do it. As your colleague and friend that we have these debates because we actually care about this country, I am curious. Okay, if this is the strategy, but we've been saying it's only 40 days. Well, what happens when it's 40 months? Like, what happens when the strategy hasn't paid off? When is the intervention point?
That's your prediction. Well, the interventions in American politics are elections. I mean,
So the fact that the economy is going through a rough patch, that's due to Trump's tariffs? Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure. So what was the excuse for the last 4 years why the economy was doing so terrible? I'm just kidding. I know the answer. Incompetence and laziness. So the one lady said, well, what happens after, I don't know if she said 4 months or 40 months or a year or whatever she said, when Scott correctly pointed out that it's been a month and a half. Well, here's the deal. If it's going bad, we'll lose the midterms, which will be disastrous to the remainder of Donald Trump's presidency and everything he wants to get done and all the reasons we voted him into office. So don't for a second think that Donald Trump doesn't understand that the stakes are extremely high. He knows that better than anyone. He's doing what he believes is in the best interest of the American people. So he's using tariffs the way he is because he believes it will strengthen the U.S. economy and save our country money. Again, make no mistake, he knows what's riding on this. So saying that he's being haphazard is ridiculous. He's being very calculated and believes this is what's best for the country. We shall see. Let's wrap it up.
This whole economic strategy is not just tariffs. You've got the Congress working on the reconciliation package. You are going to try to see some cuts in federal spending, make permanent the tax cuts, changes in energy policy. In his mind, it all works together. And you know when you get a report card at the next election.
Can I ask you, Ronna, really tomorrow could be a very big, maybe a very bad day economically. What are the markets expecting?
Downturn for sure. I mean, the jobs cuts, the sense that consumer spending is buttoning up, the sense that businesses, because of the uncertainty, are pulling back. You know, I agree with what's been said about fentanyl, but let's put things in perspective. 0.2% of fentanyl coming across Canada. Guess what does come across Canada? Lumber, energy. I spoke to a home builder that said, you know, we want to put a stop on building right now. We're going to pull back at a time when we have a housing shortage because we don't know what the lumber costs are going to be. Those are the kinds of things that business does not want to hear. And by the way, this is a very, even if Kamala Harris were in office, this would be a very delicate moment economically. We are 6 years overdue for a recession if you discount the COVID blip, which I would because of the pandemic. This is not a time to be playing fast and loose.
I take back everything I've said. The lady that was talking says she's talked to a builder, so she's obviously done her research. I'm convinced. What do I always say from the Democrats? Anecdotes. Is there anything wrong with the Trump administration saying this? The current state of international trade is massively tilted against the U.S. How about we make it fair for everybody? That's the goal. We are getting screwed in almost every trade deal we have right now. At one point, they were talking about Donald Trump not having a industrialization policy, but that's just not true. He's encouraging and incentivizing businesses to make products in the United States. He's pushing for energy independence, which, by the way, we had under his last presidency. I don't know why we would ever given that up. Well, oh yeah, the Green New Deal and all Biden's commitments to them getting him elected. And I see energy independence as a huge priority, especially what's going on with Canada. I'll wrap up with this really quickly. The United States government has allowed this trade imbalance due to economic self-interest, corporate lobbying, and a failed diplomatic strategy. However, now there is a growing push to level the playing field through tariffs, supply chain restructuring, restrictions on Chinese companies operating in the U.S. That's a huge one too. Anyway, this is just like the Doge stuff. If Donald Trump's administration does not do this now and do it aggressively, it will never get done, and these problems will just continue to get worse and will continue to be the world's trading doormat. But I'm curious to hear what you all think about Trump's tariffs, because Scott Jennings made a good point, because there is disagreement within the party about whether these are a good tool or a bad tool. Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching videos of Scott Jennings destroying entire panels at CNN, I've got quite a few of them. So click on one of the videos that's just about to pop up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I have the best viewers on the planet. I'm so grateful you took a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. It means a ton to me. Here's your daily reminder that Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.